I am like the child who is continually asking the why. And the why that we may never, ever, ever get answers to. So today's question is around the planet Saturn and the idea that this realm is a trap. So it was said to me not long back that I was a slave to my business. As it happens, I've got a shitload of ironing to do. So yeah, that's my Saturday. Is it Saturday or Sunday? I actually don't even know how bad is that. Anyway, so, and of course I've seen a lot of videos around Saturn and the idea of the Gnostic trap, and I myself have been there also. I too have done videos on the Gnostic trap. But the question remains, so since I've been studying the occult and of course delving into witchcraft, I have been seeing planetary magic, which is basically the idea of using planets, the planetary energies, to enhance our lives. And oh, look at that, I am the one-eyed, oh, am I part of the Illuminati? Look at the state of the back of my car, guys. It's full of haylage bags anyway. So yes, the idea of Saturn, and Saturn being the cube, cube representing Saturn, and Saturn being the lord of matter and controlling this reality that we live in. He is a planet of limitations and rules and government and everything else that comes along with the limitations of us. You know, what we experience here being human, the suffering, the aging, the decaying, all these limitations, the limitation of the mind. Now, interestingly, I've actually got Saturn in my 10th house and I've been feeling really stuck lately. And what's interesting is I've been feeling stuck as regards to doing videos. Now, I have this terrible habit of comparing myself to others and putting a lot of pressure on myself. And since I started remaking videos, I've been doing a lot of research on how to grow a YouTube channel. So I've been taking a lot of notes, and I've been complying to the rules of how to keep people engaged, etc, etc, etc. And that has actually stopped me from being my authentic self. So hey, if you don't like my authentic self, there's plenty of other videos out there that you can go and feed your mind with. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is Saturn, Saturn being the planet of limitations. And if we are in this realm, right, we're here, right? So yes, Saturn is considered the planet of limitations, but we're here. So what can we do about that? Do we fight the macrocosm, which quite frankly, we cannot fight? Or do we learn to harness and embrace the limitations and the regulations and the restrictions of this realm that we may or may not have chosen to be part of, to have this experience? So today, that's the question that I'm going to try and look at from the dual aspect of Saturn being the prisoner and the liberator. Now, I've made notes, so the second part of this video is going to be in my humble abode, referring to the notes, and I hope to see you there. Now, the reason why I brought in my Saturn being in my 10th house is because, is that the reason why I've been feeling stuck? Am I trying to pursue something that isn't aligned with where my soul is, where my soul should be at this current time? Or is it sending me a message of me following these guidelines of how to do something? I'm actually limiting myself because I'm not being authentic to who I am. I am somebody who rambles. I am somebody who sometimes can't get my words out. I'm not a guru. I'm not this great researcher. and I don't want to be this great researcher and have dogmatic viewpoints. I want to be able to flow through my journey and be able to change my mind. But we are also in Mercury retrograde. And again, those who follow astrology and understand planetary energies, we understand that Mercury retrograde does bring an energy which is chaotic and sometimes destructive. I've just had to have a new boiler put in one of my lodges. My energies have been quite low of late and I've been feeling quite near. But the caveat to that is we are allowing an external force to govern us. So I guess for me, one of the questions before I go into the Saturn and the black cube, which I will have to refer to my notes with, is if we are these all-powerful beings, why are we allowing external forces to govern our lives, i.e. the astrology? That being said, we are in a cosmos, an ecosystem where we are all influenced. Everything influences everything. So, like our gut, if our gut's out of kilt, it influences our energy levels, our mind, the chemistry in our brains. It's the microcosm of us, and we are the macrocosm, and the cosmos is the macrocosm of us. So there is a thing called fate versus free will. We are fated to be here, and we're fated by the planets. But there is a school of thought that does say that we shouldn't allow the planets to govern our reality, i.e. govern our free will. So there's the duality, and I don't have the answers. I'm just throwing this out there. I would really love your opinion on that. What are your thoughts on that? Because I briefly watched a short this morning on that very thing. People using astrology as their governor, if you like. But then that is the whole purpose of Saturn. He's the governor of this realm. Something to ponder. I'll see you all soon. So, as promised, I am back, looking a little bit more presentable than in the car. Anyway, back to Saturn. So, Saturn represents death, limitations, rules, regulations, such fun subjects. So it actually is it's no surprise that he's seen as a planet not to be adored or worshipped, or a planet that traps us in this realm. But he is actually a planet of gateways to other realms. See, but he's not all bad, because he gives structure to this realm. And without structure, we would basically be living in a state of chaos. Some may say we are in a state of chaos looking at today's world, but I digress. So, if you don't like rules and limitations, and I'm losing you there, oops. This is because I've got cheap equipment, guys. Let's see if I can... Okay, are we going to stay there? No, I don't think we are. I'm going to have to go down here by the looks of it. I'm trying to go down here, okay? Right, so if you don't like rules and regulations, and who does? And if you don't like death, which is often needed, even in the land of the living, right? If you don't like those things, then of course you're going to take the Gnostic viewpoint of this place is a trap. Okay, so I want to talk about Black Cube, but I can't be in this position forever. I'm just going to work this out a second. I never said I was a professional. It was basically because I'd pinned my notes to my phone and the bulldog clip had been dragging it down, you see, because I don't use a video prompter. Anyway, back to my notes. So I want to talk about the Black Cube. Okay, so the Black Cube is very symbolic of Saturn. When people think about Saturn, they think of the Black Cube, and I've got a spider hanging from that. It's going well so far. Okay, so I come from a background of conspiracy. How I got into understanding the Gnostic trap was through my spiritual rabbit holes. Did those rabbit holes serve me? Yes and no, because if I hadn't gone down those rabbit holes, I wouldn't now be here talking to you and hopefully giving you a different spin further on this video about the role of Saturn, and it's not all negative. So anyway, back to the black cube. So from a conspiracy viewpoint, people will see the black cube as being worshipped by those who control this realm. And the reason why they worship the black cube is because it symbolizes governing us minions, i.e. those of us who are not worthy. I have a completely different perspective on it now. So the most famous of this is Kaaba, it's called, in the Mosque of Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Saturn also has a hexagon at its North Pole. Now, a hexagon actually symbolizes, hexagon connects the spiritual and the physical realm and is honored throughout the occult. It's also symbolic of the shadow self. So it's noted that in the occult, when you continue to see sixes and the hexagon, you are being asked to look at your shadow self. Now, the shadow self, a lot of you will know, made popular by Carl Jung, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit further on. So in short, Saturn and the black cube are symbolic of the tether that hold us in this realm of matter, time, rules, regulation, death. But hang on a minute, we chose to be here. So how can something be a trap if we chose to be here? Now, of course, I fully appreciate that is all down to your own worldview. Okay, but let me just throw this little bit of a spin at you. Everything has its purpose in this realm. So if we think about Saturn being the ruler of time limitation, tethering us here to have this experience. So let's talk about good and evil. There is no good and evil in the realms of the cosmos. The cosmos just is. Good and evil is actually a human construct. So if Saturn is simply behaving by its very nature, then it doesn't make it good nor evil. It just is. Let me use the analogy of a horse misbehaving. As you may know, or I've got horses, and I've had a very difficult horse for many years. I could say that that mare was being difficult on purpose. Nope. She was simply behaving in the only way that she knew how, within the boundaries of her limitations of being here, to communicate to me that she wasn't happy about something. She was simply acting by her nature. So that's what Saturn's doing. He's simply acting by the very nature of what his role is within this cosmos. Everything has a purpose. If it didn't, everything would simply be the same. Okay? So let's have a look at Saturn as regards to being a spiritual teacher. That's much more wholesome. Now for this bit, I'm reading straight off my script because it's a new thing to me that I found out whilst doing my research on this subject. So negrido means a blackening. And this is simply an alchemical transformation, breaking down everything to confront the chaos. Now, shadow work was made popular by Carl Jung, but it's certainly not a new concept. Egyptians have been doing shadow work. The ancient alchemists, you name it, it's not a new thing, okay? And I've talked about shadow work and mirror work and the difference in one of my videos where I read an extract from Franz Bardon's book, where he talks about not just looking at the dark parts of your character, but also looking at the good parts of your character, because without both, we would not have equilibrium. It's the duality of this realm. It's about bringing everything together, the negative and the positive, the dark and the light. So the Egyptians would face their metaphysical self, going towards death, chaos, and the unknown. And again, I reiterate, death doesn't necessarily mean in a literal sense. As we grow, as we journey through this process of understanding, we are continually having what is called ego death. So more recently, we have something called the clip-off, which is something that I have explored, where you work with demons. Now, those demons may not be external to you. They may be internal to you. We all have demons inside of us. And again, it's just another phrase for shadow work. And the clip-off actually means shell. Well, we are a shell. In this realm, this is what this is. It's a shell. So let me take a pen as an example. This pen is actually holographic. It's just energy. That's all it is. But it has a shell that makes it tangible and makes us see it for what it is, but it doesn't make it real. Okay. So, and also Saturn on the tree of life, he's represented as wisdom. So if he is this almighty God of evil and limitation, are we just simply not putting limitations on our own belief system here and holding us back, holding ourselves back? Whereas if we were to use the energy of Saturn for spiritual growth, doesn't that make much more sense?